Hello and welcome to the big picture. The countdown to the 30th edition of the modern Olympics to be held in London for the third time has begun. The grand sporting and athletic extravaganza, which tests the endurance and willpower of athletes from over 200 countries and Olympic associations from all over the world, will have 29 different sports and games comprising of 302 events. 84 Indian athletes and sportspersons will be participating in 13 sports and games in 56 events, the largest contingent so far in an Olympics. The Indian government and the Sports Authority of India, as well as some independent organizations and individuals, have endeavored for the last few years to encourage and create more sportspersons to be qualified to participate in the London Olympics. Hundreds of crores of rupees has been spent in this combined effort. Will all this bear fruit? Will Indian sportspersons be able to bring more medals than the 3 that they did in Beijing in 2008, which incidentally was the highest so far? Are the preparations adequate to hope for more? We will look at all this today as the first contingent of Indian Olympian hopefuls leave for London today. To discuss this, I have with me here Samaresh Jung, the Indian shooter who participated in the 2008 Beijing Olympics and was double gold medalist in the 2002 Commonwealth Games. Rajaraman, the well-known sports journalist who has covered the Olympics, are in the studio with me. And also Brigadier P.K.Murlidharan Raja, the Deputy Chef de Mission of the London Olympic Contingent and also the Secretary General of the Indian Amateur Boxing Federation from Pune. Welcome to all of you. Let me go to Brigadier Raja first. Brigadier Raja, it has been a very eventful months. In the last several months, we have seen a lot of controversies. We have seen a lot of hopefuls falling out because they couldn't qualify. You think the present contingent consisting of 84 people are ready to take on the best in the world? And do you think we will be in a position to do better than last time?
Yes, I am definite that this time there will be better performances because overall, in comparison to all the earlier editions of the Olympics, this time sportsmen in various disciplines are aiming for actual medals at the Olympics. Earlier, the thing was that they qualified for the Olympics and they were there. But now they've come to world standards in most of the disciplines and they're actually hoping to be in the gold medal, silver, bronze medal stage. And therefore, specifically, individual events like archery, you have wrestling, boxing.
Right.
Of course. So all these events are working. So definitely, we got much better hopes this time.
Okay. Please stay on. I'll come back to you. Let me go to Samaresh Jung. Samaresh Jung, do you have the same kind of optimism which Brigadier Raja seemed to have?
I don't know about the other sports but
as a shooter.
As a shooter, and for the shooting contingent, I would say that the people who have qualified for the Olympics, they have done so performing very well at the world class competitions and getting medals. So I think they have been preparing hard for the Olympics. So I think that they have a very good chance of getting into the finals. And when you get into the finals, then anything can happen.
Then it's a toss-up.
Yeah.
Okay. Raja, let us go back a little. Let us go back a little and see at the preparations. Which there were a lot of controversies regarding that. There were a lot of criticism about the way the bureaucratic delays. Some of these sportsmen who wanted to go abroad and train, they didn't get the clearance as expected. How much of it has been ironed out, and do you think these 84 people who are going are all mentally and physically ready to take on the best?
I think we have to give the devil its due. The Sports Ministry has done a terrific job in tandem with the federations and the Olympic Association of drawing up a plan, a roadmap for our athletes. All of them have done really well to qualify. I think their first target was to qualify for the games. Someone like Gagan Narang qualified maybe a year and a half ago.
Right.
And then his focus has been preparing for the games. He's drawn up a plan. I think each of the athletes, whether it is the archers or the table tennis players or the tennis players, I think all of them have drawn plans. Controversy was only around the tennis team. But I think
And
overall,
also some of the swimmers who wanted to go abroad, they got delayed, and
they haven't actually qualified.
archery and
Girish,
some
I think we need to understand that there are athletes who have actually qualified for the games and are not waiting for an invitation from the international federation.
Right.
In shooting, as Samaresh will tell us, there are quota places, and once you take those quota places, you don't wait. You know you're going to go to the Olympic Games. Whereas in swimming, because the 4 swimmers have got a B standard, they didn't get an A standard, they have to wait for the international federation to send out an invite for them. Now, when there is a certain amount of doubt, you don't expect the sports ministry to be clearing files because you're not even sure you're going to go to the Olympic Games. I think the sports ministry has been fair. I've been one of the biggest critics of the sports ministry, but I want to be fair to the ministry. They have been fair, as have the federations. I think this is probably the best prepared Olympic contingent we are sending out, both in terms of physical preparation and in terms of mental preparation. And I would want to credit our success in the Commonwealth Games in 2010 and in the Asian Games in 2010. Both of that have contributed towards us understanding how important it is for us to win medals at the Olympic Games. Right. We won 3, which is 2 more than ever at any game. Right. We want to win at least 5 or 6 this time. I think we have a capable unit which can go out and deliver. But as Samaresh pointed out, in the finals anything can happen. In archery, just a little puff of wind can send a whole team out. In shooting, as Gagan Narang experienced the last time, he missed by a whisker. He missed a medal, making it to the final by a whisker. We have to understand how sport pans out. A wrestler can play in the first round, lose out and be done with it. Whereas Sushil won a repechage, got a second chance, then went on to win the bronze medal. So you need the luck of the draw. Hard work has gone in. Now I think as a nation we should expect some amount of luck.
Samaresh, Raja was telling that this is the best prepared Indian Olympic contingent. You went to Beijing in 2008. What do you see? Do you see the difference? What is the difference you see between the preparations which you people made then and now?
Last time we were for shooting, the team was decided because you can win a quota, but still you cannot. It's not sure that you can go because the quota belongs to the country.
Right.
So they were still deciding. The federation was still deciding who will go, what not. It was not very clear
till when before that.
It was almost 2 months before the thing they were decided. But this time they had already laid down a plan, the federation, that you have to do certain things, certain competition you'll get for every competition you'll get. A whole plan was there. So accordingly, whoever will qualify would go. So it was already decided. And the team was declared 3-4 months before this thing. So they were clear that who will go and who will not go.
For mental preparation, that's a good thing that you have.
Yes, you have time, and then you know that okay, you are going for such and such event, so focus on that.
Brigadier Raja, in one of your interviews I was reading, you have said that some of this what has happened is good, but sports federations needs to be self-sufficient. That comment of yours implies that right now they are not self-sufficient, most of the sport federations. How has the government and has these federations, have you all put your heads together to work out and find solution to this problem?
Well, the statement I've made was, I wouldn't like to be talking about the other federations. Probably they also have the same problems. Specifically to boxing, we had that problem. We addressed it. In the sense that we started getting into sponsorship, going for sponsorships, and we got corporate houses coming forward to support us. We have Monet Group was there with boxing. Sahara's come forward. We have the Mittal Champions Trust, the Olympic Gold Quest, and the likes of people who have come forward, whereby we find there's a big support. But right now, we are still all of us dependent on the government for all the foreign exposures, the national coaching camps, etc. My point was that the national federations need to generate their own funds and finances, wherein they become independent, and they, of course, whatever support they need from the government, they could take. But a stage should come when they become independent bodies like other sports federations in the world.
Okay. Brigadier Raja, another thing is about, you're talking of sponsorships, and even in the preparation to these Olympics, a lot of independent organizations, private sector organizations have come forward. Even individual sportsmen like Prakash Padukone and P.T. Usha and all have contributed to this. How far has it helped in preparing for these Olympics?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. A large number of organizations have come forward, even individual units. As I gave you those four or five names. In addition, there are other groups like Lakshya and various other people who come forward. They are sponsoring individual sportsmen, helping them with the sports medicine cover or the kit or other financial support, additional support which they need. So mentally, the sportsman is put at ease, and that person is made to feel that they're somebody special and that they're getting all the right kind of support desired to go ahead and prepare for the Olympics. And I think that's been a great thing. So since all these corporate houses and various all these trusts which have come forward, they've done a great job.
Okay. Brigadier Raja, please stay on. We need to go into a short break now. We will come back very soon. Please keep watching. Welcome back. We are discussing the 2012 London Olympics and seeing what kind of hopes the Indian contingent has. Let me come to Raja. One of the things which was being said about these corporate sponsorships and things like that. Is this the first time which is happening in such a large manner? And how and why did it happen?
I think the Mittal Champions Trust was in existence even at the 2008 Olympic Games. But I think more organizations have come in now. And I think a realization that sport is what you need to do well sport to be recognized internationally. Right. And people like Geet Sethi and Prakash Padukone who have come together and formed the Olympic Gold Quest. Right. There is a realization, not just among the sports people, but I think across the board that we need to do well at the Olympic Games. I think as Brigadier Raja pointed out, people have come in to support boxing. People have supported hockey as well, big time. Hockey's got 2 sponsors. They were struggling to find one. They have now got 2 sponsors. Okay. And you will actually see them wear the sponsors logo on the front and the back at the Olympic Games even, which is good. There is money in sport now. And I think more and more people are pumping in money because you get a good recognition if you're supporting Indian sport.
Okay. As far as this sports ministry and the government is concerned, the sports ministry and the SAI and all these people, when did they start actually this preparation? 2 years back, you think Commonwealth Games being held in Delhi, was that a major boost for the whole thing?
Come to think of it, Girish, our winning 3 medals at the Beijing Games was a big factor. After that, we did well in the Commonwealth Games where we picked up 101 medals, unprecedented. Then we went to Guangzhou and picked up 64 medals. Right. Again, it's the largest haul by an Indian contingent. And then there was a realization that yes, you could actually do well in the Olympic Games. Abhinav Bindra, Sushil Kumar and Vijender Singh, they have proved that anybody from India could go on to win the games so long as you prepare well, have focus and concentrate on the job on hand. Samaresh has won medals by the dozen. He was a star at the medal in the Melbourne Commonwealth Games. Right. Only focus. His only focus was doing well for the country on shooting. He was not concerned about whether his salary was coming or whether there are sponsorships or whether he will be rewarded 50 lakhs by the government of India if he wins medal. His focus was on winning. And I think this whole lot that is going to the Olympic Games is as focused as Samaresh was and is even today.
Samaresh, do you agree with him, and do you think this kind of sponsorships and more money coming into that 2 things can happen? We have seen what is happening in the IPL, in cricket, it has gone the other way. Do you fear that kind of thing, or we are still at a very early stage when we come to events like games like boxing or archery or shooting or things like that? We still don't have that kind of money coming into the game.
Basically, when it comes to Olympic sports, we are still we are nowhere near cricket.
Yes.
So the more money that comes in, it's going to promote the sport. And to go as far as IPL, we have many years to go to come to that stage. but you do need a lot of support.
My question is, has the conditions improved for the athletes and sports people as far as the training is concerned? We have heard, read any number of stories. People like Raja have been writing in this about how in horrible conditions these wrestlers and other people have trained.
It has changed, Girish. It has changed. I'll give you the example of Abhinav Bindra. He's supported by the government of India. He spent, I think, the last year and a half in Switzerland. Ranjan Sodhi, who's world #1 double trap shooter, he spent a lot of time in Italy. He's away from his...
Was it completely taken care of by the government?
It has been supported by the government and by individual organizations like Olympic Gold Quest and Mittal Champions Trust. So there is support, and I think the way we are looking at sport has changed. Balewadi in Pune, I think we've got one of the finest training centers that we could expect in India. There's a high altitude training machine there.
For which
For
game?
all sport.
For all sports.
For all sport. I think the shooters prefer to train in Pune. Samaresh will correct me if I'm wrong. Shooters prefer to train in Pune than to come to Delhi because the hostel is right across from the shooting range and they can walk across. They don't lose time commuting like you would in Delhi. I think we have spent a lot of time and energy in building up some infrastructure.
Has this all happened in the last 3-4 years, or has it been building up for some time?
I think you have to credit the Indian Olympic Association for bringing in some games into India, like the Commonwealth Games, and before that the Commonwealth Youth Games in Pune, which caused us to develop very, very good infrastructure in Pune. And I think because of the Commonwealth Games, even a center like Sonipat, which is not very far from Delhi, we've got an excellent training facility there. Yes, of course, the wrestlers have struggled because the food quality there has not been good, but there are niggles. And I think the wrestlers have now gone off to Europe and they're training there. So I think we are getting there. We understand what it takes. Like the hockey team is spending a whole month in Europe before it goes to play to London. Today it travels to Spain from France, where it played a couple of matches. So I think the plan has been drawn up well. Now it's up to the athletes to go and deliver.
Brigadier Raja, all this, what we are hearing from Raja and Samaresh, and also what you said earlier, are very heartening things. But which are the events, which are the games, which are the events in which you, as the Deputy Chef de Mission, is hoping that India will be able to win medals?
Well, as a Deputy Chef de Mission, I can see from going by the statistics that I've seen, we should be quite hopeful for archery, shooting, tennis, wrestling, boxing, then maybe weightlifting. So I think these are, and of course, hockey has got, the way they have been performing in the last couple of weeks, it's been on the upswing. I think these are a few of the games, and rather realistically speaking, anybody qualifying there has got a chance. But these disciplines which I have said definitely stand a better chance.
Brigadier Raja, but you will be handling 2-3 players who have had several problems, especially I'm talking about the tennis team, Leander Paes, Mahesh Bhupati, Sania Mirza, all these people, the kind of controversy which has generated in the last few weeks. How do you think that will be affecting the contingent as a whole?
I am sure all that will be put behind when all the players reach London, and with the country and the patriotic spirit taking over, the whole contingent will be one cohesive group looking forward to do well in all the respective disciplines.
Samaresh, you have been an Olympian. You have participated in these games. These kind of pre-game controversies, how much do they affect the contingent when you are actually there? I'm sure nobody is immune to these kind of controversies.
No, but the thing is, it depends how focused you are. If I'm focused on what I'm supposed to do, then all these things don't matter. Then they just don't register. But but for other people, it does matter.
What do you think of this controversy on the tennis about the tennis players?
I think it was unfortunate that all this thing happened, and if there were problems, then they should have been decided among themselves and not come in the open. They could have sat down and.
But you think that these kind of controversies won't affect the players and athletes and sports persons?
No, they do.
When they
affect.
reach London, these are the kind of things.
They do affect, but it again depends on the person. Like for me, for basic shooters, I don't think it would affect that much. But for tennis players, yes.
No, do you people, do the different contingents, do the different players interact with each other during the games, or
Yeah,
is
we-
it
because
very
basically-
focused? You stay among your own shooters, stays with shooters, and
Generally, we stay like that, but the thing is, we always stay in the same as a Indian contingent, so in the same building, depending on how it is. So we meet and we talk about things, but then everybody, people don't want to talk about all this negative stuff. They just want to focus on what's good and how it's been and what all the preparation are. And that's how, because the more you talk about negative things, then the worse it gets. So it's basically focus on whatever is good and focus on what you are supposed to do, and that's it.
Raja, do you think that that's how it happens, or as far as this Leander, the contingent, or how do you see it?
First and foremost, it was Samaresh pointed out, if you have differences, get into a room, thrash it out, come out and make a announcement.
No politicians.
No, and they played a different brand of politics, which I think politicians will learn from them. Unfortunately,
Right.
everyone else has kept away from the control. Take to the Wimbledon court when they're playing Olympic games. I think their focus will be on the ball rather than on what.
Them think that it won't affect, but you as a deputy chef de mission, after all these controversies with such bad blood being spilled on the streets virtually, how are you going to deal with them?
I'm very sure that all these things will not translate into actual, on ground when we are there in London. They are also very seasoned players, very experienced, mature people, and I'm certain, and depending upon the prevailing situation and conditions there, the moment would be euphoric because so many disciplines are going on at the same time. All of them are participating, and I'm very certain these differences, personal differences, will definitely not come to the forefront there. And all of us would be sitting down as administration, the chef de mission, Mr. Ajit Pal, me, and the team management. We'll all be definitely sitting down together and working closely with them, encouraging them, and trying to put positive energy into all of us. And I'm sure it's going to work out well for us.
Have you and Mr. Ajit Pal Singh and other officials who are going to be there, have you already had a meeting? Have you discussed about this? Have you thought of how to deal with these kind of issues? What are your plans? Do you have a blueprint how to deal with?
Certainly. We Mr. Ajit Pal and me, we've had discussions as to how we would be working at London. And it's not. We're not going to be discussing it, bringing it out here right now. But we certainly have, as that we are going to be working closely with all the teams, with all the players, the management, and we are there going to be to support them, give them maximum help required, and for them to be mentally at peace and to get the best conditions to give the best during the competition.
Okay, Samaresh, when you are there during the Olympics, when you are there in the Olympic village, and how much does the environment affect your performance? Because we have heard of different, the Commonwealth Games, we kept hearing about the kind of conditions which the athletes face. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. How much does that environment affect your performances?
It does affect. But
what was your experience in Beijing?
Beijing was very well organized. There were Chinese, and I walked into the building and there were two Chinese, one girl and one boy standing there, and we wanted something, and I started talking, and all of a sudden these two guys are speaking in Hindi, and we were surprised.
Okay.
So this was not only for India, but this was for every country, even Hungary.
Yeah.
Our coaches were from Hungary. They went to the Hungarian contingent, and the Chinese speaking Hungarian there.
Okay.
So that was the kind of preparation they had. So everything was well taken care of, and I think it would be the same here. So I don't think anybody would be having some problems from the organizers' point of view.
Okay.
But among ourselves, but then as I said, people are very focused on what they are going to, because this is the biggest podium they are going to get.
Absolutely.
To stand on some. So everybody is very focused, would be focused to do their best.
You regret not being able to make it to the podium.
Yes, definitely.
Obviously, yeah. Raja, last words to you. So you think now with all this preparation, all this good work has been done, as you say, and as all of you are saying. So we can expect. What is your? Would you like to stick your neck out and say that how many medals we can win this time?
Yeah, we won 3 last time. I think we will double it. Brigadier Raja pointed out a fairly long list.
Right.
I would like to add badminton to that because we've got a very good doubles combination in Jwala Gutta and Ashwini Ponappa,
Right.
Jwala and Diju, very good combination, and we've got Saina Nehwal. So there is medal prospect, like Brigadier pointed out. Nobody is going to the Olympic game just for the fun of taking part in that.
Not anymore.
We are competing. We are actually competing. We've got world number 1 in 2 disciplines. Ranjan Sodhi, who's double trap shooter, is world number 1. Deepika Kumari, archer, recurve archer, she's a world number 1. I think it's something that we must be proud of. It is something that mainstream media needs to bring out more and more so that our youngsters take part and not just sit through the night and watch European football.
Yeah,
I think it is time for India to go out and play sport rather than just become armchair critics or couch potatoes.
Okay, so this is very it's very interesting that finally in individual sports, in individual games, earlier we used to we have won several medals in hockey, a team game, but now that slowly we are coming into our own as far as individual events are concerned.
I think there's a growing realization that you can make money off sport. You could be an amateur sports person, but you could end up getting 1 crore of rupees. If you do well in the Olympic Games, you could probably get a few more crores as Abhinav Bindra did. So there is money in sport, and I think people need to understand that.
Okay. On that score, we need to end this discussion, but it is very interesting and it's also very, it's very optimistic. Everybody seems to be very optimistic, and as Raja finally pointed out, there is money in other sports too, not just cricket. And this is something which everybody in this country needs to understand, and we should be very happy with the way the sports ministry, as Raja was pointing out, has done this time. Let's see how things will pan out by the end of this last week of this month when the Olympics starts. So we'll all be watching it and seeing how the Indians will perform. Thank you very much. Thanks to all my guests, Brigadier Raja, Samaresh, Jung and Dy.Chef. Thank you very much. Please keep watching. We'll come up with another issue on The Big Picture tomorrow.